What's up, guys? I hope you have this week so far. Once again, bring us another Warhammer video. I thought we'd look at something more about the Tyranids. I mean, a nice little overview of them would be good as well, because I'm starting to learn more about the Tyranids. Of course, you know about like the basic things of them as being, the big bad, the 40th universe, eat everything. They evolve, etc., etc., etc. But this looked interesting. I guess this guy does like a lot of his own like art style to it, which is like cartoony, which is nice. So I don't know. I just thought I'd just check it out and see how it goes and see if you guys like it and see if I like it. And I don't know. I can't see no to any more lore videos for Warhammer since I'm getting a decent grasp on it, but compared to what I should know and what I need to know, I am still far away. It's been a year and I'm still far away, but I'm definitely hyped for it, man. Please check out the original video in the description. Make sure to show him some love. So you can subscribe to him. Like his video, comment for him, that'd be awesome. If you guys want my content, if you guys want reactions, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get to it.
Hi friends, what do you get when you mix bugs, dinosaurs, a tad eldritch horror, and a constant hankeriness? Well, I don't really know, but if you combine Tyran and id, you get the Tyranids. These silly little guys are one of the most dire threats in the galaxy, if not the most dire threat. So, today, get your raid and fly swap.
I say probably the Necrons are more of a threat. Not right now, obviously, because the Necrons are not waking up completely, but the Necrons are definitely more of a threat because they're basically, well, you could kill them, but they just come back as a different body. So really, like, any gain, so like, let's just say you lose, let's say you lose 5 Astartes, and they kill 100 Necrons, let's just say. Well, odds are 90% plus of those Necrons will revive, but those, 5 Astartes or whatever plus won't come back. So theoretically, like, you may have won the battle, but technically you lost 5 Astartes. You know what I'm saying? So like that's kind of I said Necrons. The Nids are definitely the biggest threat now, but like if the Necrons go full swing, they will literally roll the Nids. Because literally they honestly if the Nids fought the Necrons would demolish them because A, there's no biomass to take from them, and number 2, their weapons literally just disintegrate you, so that biomass is now permanently gone. So I don't know.
Water's ready, we're gonna
I get to Necrons, man. They're too OP. They're too scary, man.
The Tyranids were first officially encountered on the ocean world of Tyrant, where Inquisitor Critman creatively ID'd them as Tyranids, specifically Hive Fleet Behemoth. And there were other Tyranid encounters before this, but the Imperium didn't properly identify them as Tyranids until the encounter with Behemoth. One cool thing about these dudes is that they're actually not even really from the Milky Way galaxy. The Tyranids are from outside of the galaxy, and it's theorized that in-universe the Tyranids were attracted to the Milky Way when Super Chad Gilliman activated a Necron beacon called the Pharos Array in order to regroup Imperial forces in Imperium Secundus. The Pharos Array was being used by Gilliman to function as a secondary astronomicon and aid Imperial navigators when traveling the warp. Just think of it like a giant magic lighthouse. The array was eventually destroyed, but the damage was already done, and the Tyranids were en route to the galaxy. And they're also most likely attracted to Astronomicon for similar reasons. This would prove a fatal attraction for all the Milky Boys in the Milky Way, because I wasn't kidding when I said they made...
So wouldn't that mean that every time a person is killed by a Necron, or not, excuse me, by a Nid, that's kind of like Gilman's fault, theoretically?
...be one of the most dire threats the galaxy faces. The Tyranids made a huge entrance when Behemoth ravaged a whole lot of worlds and then almost destroyed the home of the Ultramarines, as well as Gilliman in his Sleeping Beauty era. So yeah, I'd say they're pretty scary. But yeah, okay, sure.
Imagine if they got Primarch flesh, dude.
Why scary? Well, the Tyranids have one goal, and that's to eat all the biomass they can possibly find. And to accomplish this goal, they have adapted an insane number of monstrous bioforms, weapons that make war crimes look like poor limes, and just downright terrifying tactics. But let's address the Tyranids themselves and some common traits that the various bioforms share. Almost all the Tyranids have 6 limbs, just like an insect, have strong chitinous armor, that's fancy talk for bug-like exoskeletons, and most of them are super hard to kill, since they usually have duplicate organs, kind of like a space marine. Furthermore, all the Tyranid weaponry is just advanced biotech. That's right. All of the Tyranid's guns are just parts of their body,
that shit is creepy, though.
other organisms that they evolved to have. Like, this dude, he evolved to have literal, actual gun hands. Some species have all the luck. But that's actually one of the biggest things that make Tyranids so threatening. They have the ability to evolve at an insane rate, and this helps them adapt to nearly any enemy. Usually evolution takes anywhere from minutes to over a lot of millions of years. But the ones that evolve fast are usually like lame bacteria or viruses that almost nobody cares about, and the notable evolutionary changes that do take place over millions of generations are also pretty lame. As a former bio major, I can tell you that I'm fairly confident
Used to
no
be smart.
species in real life has evolved literal gun hands after being shot for a few days. So whenever the Tyranids encounter a problem, unlike us, they don't have an existential crisis in the kitchen and then impulsively buy more models to add to the pile of shame. No, the Tyranids, they take it on the chitin and they evolve a whole new bioform to completely counter whatever proved to be a problem. Tyranids are constantly learning from their enemies and adding it to their collective knowledge so that they know how to better kill and eat their next meal. It's like the extreme ultimate form of that loser on Twitter that you called a moron, so you stop every possible aspect of your life
Oh
just so
my
you can craft the
gosh.
perfect insult. And that brings us to the next point. Perhaps an even greater strength in their rapid evolution, the Tyranids have a hive mind, which is a huge tactical asset. There's a few imperial theories as to what the true nature of the hive mind is, but whether the hive mind is just a psychic network and database for all the Tyranids to store and access information like a ultra messed up bio-murder internet, or if it's a supreme organism that controls all...
The way I think of it is like it's an organism that controls them to basically give orders, but also I feel like that giving your creatures, I say, the inability to really think and be conscious of their own actions, just be like a wild animal, probably also allows them to like save a lot of resources too. Because if you made each one of the nits, like from the smallest to cheapest life forms up to the most powerful and whatnot, like a biotitan or whatever, if you give them all like high level intelligence, I feel like that would take up a lot more biomass. It just wouldn't make sense. You'd rather just be a swarming type of tactics, which is what they use. Like you could just copy and paste them. You know, you don't have to do that much intelligence. You don't have to do anything crazy. You just kind of just bark orders and they just do their thing. That's how I always thought of the Tyranids.
All the Tyranids is an extension of itself. One thing's for certain: the hive mind is one scary son of a gun to fight. The hive mind has knowledge built up of countless experience of all the Tyranids connected to the hive, meaning that it's probably smart as Elon thought he was when he changed Twitter's name to X. This means that it has centuries of tactics stored and it can learn extremely rapidly. So, it either knows how to kill you and all your friends, or it can learn how to kill you and all your friends faster than a race between the White Scars and Sihon. Another cool and scary thing about the hive mind, depending on how many arms you have, is that the hive mind's psychic presence is so potent it causes a phenomenon known as the shadow in the warp and has some pretty nasty effects on psychers. These effects do scale with how potent of a psyker someone is, but it's usually always pretty bad news for those magic boys. Some notable effects of the shadow in the warp are that astropaths can't send psychic messages or see areas where a hive fleet is present. This is a big issue since astropaths are the Imperium's main form of long-range communication, and severing that can mean an Imperial world is cut off from the rest of the Imperium. And other Imperials can't even detect if the hive fleet is
Down,
present.
a bunch of rolls down.
This often allows Tyranid attacks to snowball into a little something known as a big frickin' problem. Or should I say a bug freaking problem.
Oh my gosh, dude.
So, a hive fleet
my
can destroy
gosh.
many worlds without the Imperium ever finding out until they see awake a dead planet.
Well, something bad happened, but
Other
dead
than
worlds.
Psychers, the shadow in the warp is so powerful that even non-Psychers are affected. This is possible since pretty much every being in 40k has a psychic presence, even if just a little bit. So, the shadow in the warp makes normal people extremely anxious and can even plunge people into insanity, further playing into the eldritch horror aspects. But back to the hive. Using its vast knowledge, the hive mind creates various Tyranid bioforms to accomplish whatever task it needs in order to secure its next meal. And remember, the Tyranids are a lot like a rich person's store. Everything's organic. So the equivalent to troops, tanks, and even ships are all different Tyranid bioforms.
Wow.
So let's just go through some of the more notable and interesting Tyranid bioforms. First off, let's talk about the Norn Queen, since she's the one responsible for physically making all these nasty critters. The Norn Queen is essentially just a Tyranid monster factory that lives in the center of every hive fleet. The Norn Queen is capable of designing or cloning whatever Tyranid bioform that the hive fleet needs for its current campaign. The Queen is fueled and uses biomass from reclamation pools to create these little buggers, which I suppose I should explain what exactly a reclamation pool is for the less nerdy of the audience. A Tyranid invasion usually follows some basic steps, which can be succinctly described as check out a world, drop off troops of the world, wreck shit on the world, and then, when everything is dead and eaten, jump into the pool for a nice celebration party. Except that pool dissolves all of you and your friends into a nice little soup ripe for the Norn Queen to make you again and repeat the process. With that, let's talk about their basic troops, the Gauns. These little fellas are relatively small and weak by themselves, but they almost always attack in large groups to overwhelm their foes.
Gulp.
In addition, they have many mutant variations to fulfill different battlefield roles. Most common, however, are the Terma and Horma varieties. Termagants are the ranged variety of Gaunts and can have a number of bioweapons. Their most common is a flesh borer. This gun shoots flesh borer beetles, which, as their name suggests, bores into flesh.
Crazy,
Another common
dude.
weapon are the spike rifles, which, as their name suggests, shoot spikes. Spine fists, which, as their name suggests, are fists that shoot spines. And devourers, which is a type of flamer. I'm just kidding. Devourers shoot flesh worms, which, as their name suggests, devours whatever they're shot at and eats its way towards the unlucky sucker's brain. Then, the
Crazy,
Hormagaunts are
dude.
the melee shock variety of Gaunts. Each Termagon has a pair of scything talons, which, as their name suggests, are talons that scythe things. And I decided this is an overused joke. Which, as his name suggests, is a joke that is overused, and I'll now stop. The Hormagaunts are extremely fast and vicious, and something that makes them even more troublesome to deal with is that they're actually able to reproduce without the Norn Queen, so they can amass great numbers on the battlefield.
I did not
or
know that.
Continue to trouble a world
That is
after the Hive
horrifying.
have left. Other cool Gaunts are Gargoyles, Gaunts with wings, Barb Gaunts, Gaunts with big guns, and Ibram Gaunt, Gaunt with plot armor. Next, let's talk about the equivalent of commanding officers in the Tyranid army. The Tyranid warriors are large beasts known as synapse creatures. Synapse creatures are essentially psychic conduits that connect to the hive mind and amplifies its presence in order to direct other Tyranid bioforms on the battlefield. But along with being a big psychic Wi-Fi extender, the Tyranid warriors are also proficient warriors and have a number of deadly weapons like the aforementioned rending claws. They have bone swords, death spitters, and a wide variety of other scary gun hands and sword hands. Interestingly, warriors also have a bit of autonomy from the hive, and they use this to assess the battlefield and make on-the-fly tactical decisions, much like a commanding officer of more conventional species would do. A step up from the warriors would be the hive tyrants, which are basically just really huge warriors. It's often the main synapse creature in a war and has a big brain to match its big sword. And maybe has another big thing. Wink, wink.
Brother.
Of course, I'm just kidding, since, you know, we would have known if it had a big thing, considering they don't wear any pants. On the contrary, patriarchs do in fact
This guy's killing me, man.
a big thing. But back to the hive tyrants, they mostly have the same weapons as warriors, except bigger and more killier. Also, like all Tyranids, this dude got variants. One cool one being the winged hive tyrant, which, as his name suggests, no, damn it, it's just a hive tyrant with wings. We'll leave it at that. And then another thing that's technically a variant of a hive tyrant is the Swarmlord. The Swarmlord is one of the few Tyranid quote-unquote characters, and it's a perfect hive tyrant. It is said that the Swarmlord being made is a stress-induced response within the Norn Queen for when the Tyranid strategies are beginning to fail and the hive mind really wants that victory royale. The Swarmlord has the most autonomy of any Tyranid creature and is able to create strategies separate from the hive mind in order to win a war. It's also able to be spawned by any hive ship if the need arises, making it practically immortal. It's also unfortunately known for getting its ass kicked whenever a character needs to be shown as a badass. But this is a Tyranid video, so we won't talk about that. Some other cool bioforms are lictors, which are like scouts and assassins.
Go invisible and shit, right?
Artifacts,
I've heard about them a little
giant
bit.
monsters nids that act kind of like tanks as they have giant destructive weapons and heavy armor. Gene Stealers, which love denim, and then the Hive Guard, which are heavy troops that defend Tyranid commanders and structures. It's also rumored that the Hive Guard were made using some harvested Space Marine DNA. But I don't really know if that one's actually true lore-wise or if I'm misremembering. Either way, they're cool. There's also like a million other bioforms, but I'll cover those in a future video as this one's supposed to be pretty general. So, let's close this off by briefly discussing hive fleets. Yep, I keep mentioning them, but what are they? Well, a hive fleet is basically just a large Tyranid swarm that goes planet to planet consuming biomass, and they also come in a lot of fun colors. A single hive fleet can be an apocalypse level threat and are almost impossible to completely destroy since if they are defeated, they can break into splinter fleets and regroup.
Wow.
Notable hive fleets are Behemoth, the first major hive fleet to hit the galaxy, who are mostly defeated on Macragge, Hive Fleet Kraken, the second major Tyranid fleet known for nearly eradicating Crafter Leandon, and of course, Hive Fleet Leviathan, the largest hive fleet in the galaxy. They defeated the Orcs on Octarius, really busted the Blood Angels balls on ball, and recently made a comeback to kick off the 4th Tyrannic War for the launch of 10th edition and Space Marine 2. And let's go over some lesser known but cool hive fleets. There's Hive Kronos, which was made to counter chaos, and they shoot bio bullets that can somehow eat souls. Gorgon, which are even more specialized in adaptation, and they like to kill Tau. And then there's Tiam, who have the prettiest color scheme and decide to settle down on a plan to mysteriously build something. Which, let's be honest, secluding yourself to build stuff all day and only come out for food once in a while is like super relatable to 40k players. So let's all salute our kindred spirit Tiamets. Also, I just want to mention that I love that all the Hive fleets are named after mythological and religious monsters. It's such a cool piece of flavor. But with that, let's start to bring this brief Tyranid overview to a close. I really like the Tyranids. That mutant dinosaur.
That's a heresy.
More mixed in is just so cool, and I would have started with them if it weren't for their Hive Mind. Don't get me wrong, the Hive Mind is a super cool piece of them, but I like customizing and writing characters, so the Tyranids didn't really fit that goal. But regardless, the Tyranids are great, and they make for an excellent enemy. A lot of people say that the Tyranids are most likely to win the setting, and honestly, that's not even a crazy take. I know the Tyranids seem to lose a lot in lore, but people fail to mention how they most likely already devoured hundreds of worlds before whatever story begins. Plus, if the theory that the Tyranid presence in the Milky Way is just a scouting force, then things look even more dire.
True.
But yeah, the Tyranids are super cool, I love drawing them, and I'll definitely cover more Tyrannic wars in the future, as well as a more in-depth look into their bioforms, so stay tuned.
That was good, man. I love his art style. I mean, it was a cool art style. Nice little jokes in there. It does honestly just a great video. It's definitely a nice switch up to like, people just kind of just rambling to you and just kind of almost like in a way lecturing you about Warhammer. So this was definitely a nice little change of pace. I definitely enjoyed it, man. Great video. I honestly, I just loved it. It was great. So please check him out in the description, guys. Just show him some love. If you guys want content, you guys want reactions, please don't forget to like, subscribe. I'll see you guys next one. Take it easy.